Have you ever looked up at a house and noticed the shingles on the roof? Odds are, you've seen those flat, overlapping rectangles that seem to be everywhere. On suburban homes, rural cabins, and even some small buildings in cities. Those are asphalt shingles, and they become the go-to roofing material across much of North America. But here's the twist. This wasn't always the case. So how did asphalt shingles rise to become the top pick for millions of roofs? It's a story that weaves together fire safety, industrial innovation, and surprisingly, old-school fashion. So let's break it all down, right here, on History of Simple Things. Before asphalt shingles dominated rooftops, homes were protected by all sorts of materials depending on geography and wealth. In the 1800s, wood shingles, also known as shakes, were very popular, especially in North America. They were split from logs, rustic, and easy to make. But they had one glaring downside. They were incredibly flammable. Fires could leap from one house to another in crowded towns like matches in a box. In other parts of the world, people used slate, clay tiles, or even metal sheets. These materials were durable, yes, but they were heavy and often expensive. As urban populations grew in the late 19th century, there was increasing pressure to find a roofing material that was safer, more affordable, and could be produced at scale. That's where asphalt shingles start to enter the picture. The birth of asphalt shingles came about thanks to a combination of innovation and practicality. In the early 1900s, roofing manufacturers began experimenting with asphalt-soaked materials. Initially, this came in the form of asphalt-saturated felt, what we know today as roofing paper. By around 1903, companies started cutting these into individual pieces, which could be overlapped to shed water like wood shingles, but with improved fire resistance. These early shingles were essentially thick fabric, often cotton rag or wool, impregnated with asphalt and coated with crushed minerals like slate or mica. They weren't glamorous, but they worked. Then came the game changer. In 1911, an inventor named Henry Reynolds from Grand Rapids, Michigan, is credited with producing the first true individual asphalt shingles as we know them. Instead of laying large rolls of asphalt felt, these pre-cut pieces were easier to install, looked more uniform, and caught on quickly. By the 1920s, companies like Johns Manville were mass-producing asphalt shingles, and their popularity exploded. They were marketed as modern, clean, and most importantly, fire-resistant. The real leap came when manufacturers figured out how to scale up production. By the 1930s and 40s, fiberglass had started replacing organic materials like cotton and felt as the core mat in shingles. Fiberglass was lighter, more water-resistant, and could hold more asphalt without sagging or tearing. This made the shingles last longer and cost less to ship. Around the same time, granule technology improved. Those tiny bits of mineral that coat each shingle, they weren't just for decoration. Manufacturers began adding ceramic coatings to those granules, which helped block UV rays from the sun and added color variety. Suddenly, you didn't have to choose between brown and slightly different brown. There were options. This blend of function and style made asphalt shingles not just a practical choice, but an appealing one. Asphalt shingles didn't stay stuck in the mid-century. In fact, they've gone through continuous innovation to adapt to changing needs and climates. Modern shingles often come in multiple layers, known as architectural or dimensional shingles. These aren't just cosmetic. By layering shingles, manufacturers create a thicker product that better mimics the look of wood or slate while increasing durability. Some premium versions can even last up to 50 years, depending on the brand and climate. There are also impact-resistant shingles designed for areas prone to hail, algae-resistant versions for humid climates, and even solar-reflective shingles to reduce heat absorption. In many ways, asphalt shingles have become a sort of chameleon, mimicking more expensive materials while offering the benefits of modern engineering. And despite all the improvements, the basic concept hasn't changed. A strong mat, soaked in asphalt, topped with granules, nailed to a roof in overlapping layers. Though asphalt shingles dominate in North America, their global presence varies. In Europe and Asia, clay tiles, metal roofing, and slate are more common. That's partly due to architectural tradition, but also because asphalt shingles tend to have a shorter lifespan in extremely hot or tropical climates. Still, asphalt has gained ground internationally, especially in places where affordability and ease of installation are key. They're also popular for outbuildings, sheds, and mobile structures because they're so lightweight. Culturally, asphalt shingles have become associated with the average home. They're what you see in real estate listings, in model homes, on rooftops, in kids' drawings. Their ubiquity has made them almost invisible, but they've quietly shaped the skyline of modern life. The average person might not know a thing about roofing, but they can probably pick out an asphalt shingle in a lineup. Of course, no story about a dominant material is complete without touching on its downsides. One of the biggest criticisms of asphalt shingles is their environmental footprint. Most shingles are made using petroleum-based asphalt, and while they last 20 to 30 years on average, many end up in landfills. Some efforts are being made to recycle old shingles into asphalt for roads, but widespread adoption is still limited. There's also the issue of performance in extreme weather. While modern shingles have become more resilient, they still don't match the longevity of metal, tile, or slate roofs. Homeowners in hurricane-prone areas or with high sun exposure often have to replace them sooner. Even so, their affordability keeps them in the running, especially for people who might not be able to invest in more expensive options. So, how did asphalt shingles become the roofing of choice? Through a mix of timing, practicality, and constant evolution. From their humble beginnings as a fire-resistant alternative to wood, to their rise alongside suburban sprawl, and their transformation into modern high-tech materials, asphalt shingles tell a story of innovation meeting necessity. They're not the flashiest thing on a house, but they've been protecting homes for over a century, and chances are they're above your head right now. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.